we have a moment of silence? We lost Virginia Carroll. She was lived in Tilson, and I believe she was 100 years old. Gerard Rydell from High Falls. Arthur Artie Dunn from Tilson. And Fred Greitzer. Just like to especially mention Fred. He was our planning board member for many years, more than a decade. I personally worked with him for years on the planning board, and he was the guy we always turned to for Robert's rules, and he will be missed. So, special consideration for him. Thank you. I've got a couple of community events I'd like to mention. There's a fundraiser that's starting to just get started for the pool. They want to do a run, a half marathon, and it looks like a 5K and kiddie run. Mary Alroy, who's I believe a rec commissioner, is looking for volunteers. And if anybody needs a brochure, a flyer, we can give it to you, but we're also going to have that on the website. Friday, town hall will be closed. It's Good Friday. Also want to mention that there's a benefit for Gail Nicely at the Rosendale Theater Friday at 7 o'clock. That's for her family. And then I don't know if we have all the information yet, but there's another fundraiser that's being organized through Louise Duffy is trying to put something together for the pool also. I don't have her information here, but it's the mermaid parade or something. She's put something together.
It's in June.
It's in June, so we have a little time for that, but that's another fundraiser. Sounds like it'd be fun for the kids. And then I just want to, I have something in the correspondence. It's a resolution that the mayor of the village of New Paltz sent me. I didn't put it together for us as a resolution. I thought it was more appropriate to just let the board know that if you want to attend. It's about the Wallkill River, looking for ways for the local communities that are on the Wallkill to find a way to improve the Wallkill watershed. And so that is going to be at SUNY New Paltz on April 23rd between 4:30 and 8. We could do if everybody wants to do this next week, we could do this resolution, but it seemed more like it's they're hosting it, so I don't know that we could just do a supporter. But more than anything, I just want to see if anybody would especially want to attend this. Is anybody on the board interested in taking this on as maybe as an informational for the rest of the board? You don't have to decide today, but think about it between now and next Wednesday, where we can have somebody represent us to go there.
It would be good for her.
What's that?
It would be good for her.
Yeah, I'd like to at least have one board member. If
All right,
you're
I'll look
interested,
at my
John.
schedule.
All right, that'd be great. And then at least we can find out a little bit more about it. And then American Cancer Society is looking to see if Rosendale would like to put together a group for the Run for Life, Relay for Life. So that packet's in here too, if anybody wants to spearhead that.
You don't know if anybody is?
No, we did pass it out to all the department heads to see who might be interested in being part of this, and then kind of maybe we can get a group the Rosendale employees and stuff then.
Well, I know I'll be a part of it.
Would you like to spearhead that?
I won't spearhead it, but I'll be a part of it.
Okay, well, we need somebody to like just, you know, get the group together to say who's everybody going.
I'll be a part of it.
Okay. Get it. I think we should just vote to make Bob in charge of that.
Right before the pledge.
We voted you
I
when you were out of the room.
I took an oath one time and wrote my name, and it happened for 32 years. And I did the same thing for 4. I've learned my lesson. Happy Easter, everybody, by the way.
Okay, so I've mentioned the community events I think is important. Anybody else have any community events they'd like to mention? And would anybody like some public input? Rita has something she'd like to ask?
Should I go over there?
You can.
Okay. I'll be quick. My name is Rita Sorge. I'm here for the Recreation Commission, and there were just 3 brief things that they wanted us to ask. We spoke, and we wanted the board to consider understanding budgetary constraints and all that. One was, since there is no pool this year, if it would be possible to rebudget some of the funds that were allocated for maintenance of the pool to fixing the tennis court. Another was, we'd seriously like a porta potty and garbage can at Willow Kiln Park. And that one in February, we had actually voted on a little resolution just as our request. In order to promote economic development and ensure basic hygiene in downtown Rosendale, we propose that garbage cans and a handicap accessible porta potty be installed in the vicinity of Willow Kiln Park and be available March through November. Obviously, we missed March, but and that was in our February meeting. And the third thing was that we just want to ask with the pool that you seriously consider, I know that the funding is so tight. We've talked about this a good deal. We really feel if it's made so that lights can either be installed in the pool itself or the possibility of retrofitting them, i.e. the conduits are there even if the lights aren't, that the possibility of actually having the pool generate revenue is pretty high because nobody has that in this area. And for party rentals, for a lit pool at night, it could be a wonderful thing, and it wouldn't have to impact the daily use by the citizens. You know, it would be a way of sort of milking some more of a revenue stream from the pool without adversely impacting the community benefits. And those were just the 3 things I was asked to put forth. I'm not qualified to extemporize. I think Muffy Carr, our chair, is going to come to the next meeting to see what you guys come up with around any and all of this.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to respond.
Sure. Do you want me to stay here or shall I
You
go
can
sit?
sit, whatever you're more comfortable.
Thank you.
I did speak to Rita, but I will say that a couple of these subjects have already come up, and I think that they've been addressed, and I am a little concerned that the Rec Commission hasn't gone through the channels that we asked the commissions to go through, which is to talk to your liaison. So the liaison during a board meeting can bring any of the things that you're looking to do or you want to look at. And of course,
Okay.
like you said, I spoke to you earlier, a lot of the things you're bringing up are budget issues,
Right.
which are not budgeted for this year. There's no way we can incorporate lighting into the pool. I've already discussed this with Tara at length because she brought it to my attention. And we'd have to re-engineer the pool to do that, and it's not a cost that we can incur at this point. And
Okay.
unfortunately, that idea did not come up until the design had already been done.
I
So that
understand
was a
that.
problem for that, that would just not be cost effective at this point, especially when everything's so tight with the budget right now with the pool. As far as the tennis courts, that's also been brought to my attention, and I pretty much said that it has to be put on the back burner right now. I believe that we all agree that has to be done. We have a lot of infrastructure that's failing in our town, and we've prioritized, and pool has to be number one. The money that you're talking about is really not a lot of money that's left from the operation of the pool,
Mhm.
because we were counting on the revenue that comes from that
Right.
pool. And so we don't have the revenue, we don't have the funds to do another project. So, you know, that's, you know, the revenue you got for the pool would pay for the running of the pool, but we also don't have the revenue, so that doesn't really put us in a position of having much money to work with. And that extra money we need as a buffer for the pool right now. So we can't really look at, but I said, you know, next year we'll, as we do the budget for next year, we'll look at that, but it depends on whatever else. And originally, when they brought to me some ideas about doing the tennis courts, it was different numbers, the numbers got
Right,
higher,
no, I know,
okay,
I
so
know.
it was not something that was manageable.
It was looking like we were gonna be able to access some grant money that turned out to be a lot more complicated, and
Right.
it wasn't gonna work.
And I understand everybody wants to see it done,
Yeah.
but, you know, it has to be, if we're gonna do it right, we gotta do it when we have the money. If we don't
Okay.
have the money, we would be just, you know, we would just be giving it a lick and a promise, and we wouldn't be able to really do it right.
I understand. Can I just say that Tara didn't initiate this? This
Okay.
was the rec commission.
No, I'm not saying
sitting-
she did, I'm saying that I've passed that message on
Right.
to the rec center through, the rec commission through Tara, and I don't know why this is still coming up.
And also, the February 18th meeting minutes were emailed to our liaison on the 19th of February, so that resolution to ask for the,
And that's where I'm gonna step in.
sure,
Okay, the first meeting I attended, I made it perfectly clear. I work in a prison. I don't have computer access, and I can't carry my cell phone. But if anybody leaves a message, I will get back ASAP.
so
Okay,
email
hold on,
isn't the
I'm
right
not
way to
done.
contact
Rita,
you.
I'm not done.
Okay, I'm just
Okay.
asking for clarification.
Even though it's none of your business, I'm gonna tell you, last couple of months and now, I've got some personal issues that warrant more personal attention right now. And I'm sorry I missed the meetings. But, with that being said, going back to my original meeting, I am to be contacted with issues. I learned about all of this stuff at 20 after 10 this morning. I went and found the emails, I couldn't open up the attachment. This is, I'm offended. This is completely out of the realm of the chain of command. You are on the committee. You are a
Yes.
volunteer in the committee.
Yes.
I am an elected official by the people. The concerns that are so major should have been brought to me first, then I would have presented it to the board, not going backwards and working this way, okay? I'm steamed about it.
May I speak?
No, I'm still not done. And about lighting for the pool and this and that. Once again, the council are deciding by the people that put us here on what route and what avenues we're taking, not volunteers from a committee. And I won't stand for it anymore. You have problems and concerns, me being the liaison, you get a hold of me. If I don't respond to you via an email, because I sometimes don't get on for a week and a half, because it's not accessible to me, then I expect a phone call or at the very least a text to keep me in the loop. Once
Mr.
again,
Ryan.
20 after 10 this morning, and you're talking about emails from February 18th? Go ahead.
I'm very sorry, I did not understand that you were not able to access attachments, and I didn't know that you weren't seeing emails from a month and a half ago. I had no idea about that. I really didn't, because we could have called you.
I made it clear on my first
I
meeting,
did
like I
not-
do everybody. I
Sir.
don't have email access during the day, which when I get home, I really don't go on every day because most of it's junk. If anybody and anything is that crucial, my phone number is listed in the phone book. It's in the county handbook.
Well, I'll
It's
need
in my.
to get it from you.
Yeah, okay, because this should not happen ever again, really. I don't find that we're out of the chain of command here. You shouldn't be presenting this to the board and me sitting here being dumbfounded with all this stuff that the committee decides they want.
Well,
Mr.
I-
Ryan,
let's-
Can we,
wait, can I speak,
yeah.
please? I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend you in any way. I didn't understand, I really didn't, the email thing, and now I do. And I'm sorry that there have
Well,
been
you're
things
only one
going
person
on.
in the group
Let
with-
me just finish. But, we really meant no disrespect. We just wanted to ask for these things. We don't assume that we'll get them. We're not trying to be presumptuous in any way. But these are things that are time sensitive, and we were hoping at least some of them could get done. And if they can't, they can't, I understand that. But we are also, we have a job, and that is to think as well as we can for the benefit of the recreation programs in the town, and we're trying to do that. And certainly I wasn't trying to step on your toes
Well,
in any
we
way.
respect all the hard work that you guys do, but I do think, and you're a person that comes to a lot of town board meetings, so I feel that maybe there might be some commissioners aren't aware of how we typically do things, but you are someone that comes pretty regularly, and I think you know that on the second meeting, we always have a report from every department. Each council will say what their liaisons, if it's a commission or department, what's going on in there, and if there's requests or concerns or something that we want to bring to the public or bring to the board to help make a decision. I think that's where Bob's feeling like he's been left out of the loop, and that's kind of where he's concerned about.
Okay, I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
Bob, I'll get your phone number from you, not right now, wait this second, because I don't want to make you tell the whole room, but.
And that's like our liaisonships or that two-way communication between the boards and the commissions. I'll save that for later. But at the same time, I do think that there's the commissions have a job, and you guys should feel like you can make recommendations to the board. I mean, that's what your code responsibility is.
I thought that's,
and
I'm sorry.
And that's an acceptable thing to do. And I wanted to actually just get to a couple of the issues that they.
Well, let me just say that one of the things, I did speak to Rita earlier, and I said, she said nobody could make it next week, but I said, I would prefer that when the liaison is gonna make a report, if somebody from the commission wants to be in the audience so that they can be referenced to discuss, more deeply about those subjects. I just wanna make sure that liaisons are not left out of the loop. This happened with the Youth Commission last month, which I was, beaten up about it in the paper. I don't wanna see this happen again. That means the liaisons have to do their job, and the commissioners have to understand that it's their job to communicate with the liaisons. And that also means department heads when they're involved.
Right.
So that going forward, I want that process to be in place, because otherwise we end up with miscommunication and a mess, and I don't wanna have that happen. So that's important to me, that we do it the right way. And I'm
So,
not
I knew
saying that
nothing
your
about the
concerns
youth
or
commission
any of your
thing. I
issues,
missed that.
let me finish, Rita. Any of those issues that you wanna bring up, I'm open to hearing all those issues and those concerns. Nobody ever called me and said, we wanna bring this up until today. And I think that there's definitely something wrong with this communication if we're not getting to the liaison and then having the liaison bring it to the board. Because that's the reason that we do this with the liaison. So nothing gets
Right.
slips through the
We had,
cracks.
right,
We're
we
new
had some
working
bumps
with
with
Bob.
both of
Bob's
us.
new working
like-
with
Yeah,
us.
and I think a
We'll
lot of it
figure
is
out.
the transition
Right,
too.
we're also new liaisons, like, we've had some
That's what I was just saying,
switch arounds, so.
this is a new relationship,
You know
I'm
what,
learning.
I know, but to me, it's basic, it's 101. I mean, we all know that when we have a job or whatever, we have somebody to answer to. We don't go from 0 to 10. We have somebody, now you knew that I was your liaison, you introduced me, I gave you information about myself, and I told you how I am accessible via cell phone. And I am an avid person. When you call me, I always return the messages.
Okay.
And once again, at 20 after 10 this morning, I learned about all these wants and needs of garbage, lights in the pool, portable toilets, and I was dumbfounded, to tell you the truth. I didn't have an answer for nothing.
Well, Portola in Littlefield is something that we've actually talked about quite a bit for a while, and wanted for a while. And just for a bit of history, it took a long time of begging to get the one by the playground at the rec center. So, and we did, and it was a great thing for the community.
And it's sometimes not as simple as you think it is, because, nowadays, you put one back there, and as funny as this may seem, you're gonna find maybe somebody's ending up living in the darn thing. As far as garbage, more public trash barrels, people sometimes assume it's for their own use in their household, and then we're gonna inflict the highway department to go around picking up everybody's garbage when it's filled to the brim for free of charge. And so there's, you know what, it's a simple problem that you have, but there's many, many outcomes and fallouts. And, you know, our budget restraints, as we, the council, have to work under a criteria of money. We don't have a blank check where, yep, we'll get this, we'll get that, we'll get whatever everybody wants. It doesn't happen.
We do understand about the garbage, and on that point, we've been discussing strategies for getting a can with the type of lid that prevents people from putting their household garbage in it, to make it so that it wouldn't necessarily attract that, but still people could pick up their dog poop and put it into that
Yeah, I mean,
can.
I'm not saying it's totally out of the question, but you have concerns, like Bob said, you have, who's gonna take care of it? Who's gonna take care of it every day?
That
Who's gonna
we
go
were
clean it up?
specifically
Right
requesting.
now, that Willow Kiln Park is, you know, you bring your garbage there, you take it with you, and you know what, it hasn't been a problem. People are taking their garbage, so, you know, that, where I do have a problem is, there are, like Bob said, there are some locals that have been throwing stuff in the canal, you know.
Take a ride up there and look at that.
So, you know, we have to, you know, then we're twice as much manpower we have to deal with. And as I said to you, these are the things that you bring up for next year's budget, not for now, not for this summer, because I don't have it budgeted.
Porta potty contracts, they clean them out. I mean, that was priced out at being something like $600 for the season. And they would handle cleaning it for that.
I mean, I think this is something we need to discuss at budget time. I'm, you know, personally in favor of doing that because it's a park. We should maintain it as a park like we do our other parks. And we did have garbage cans there before, and I do know there was a problem with the open one with people putting like large garbage bags in. But there were two types of garbage cans there. There was another one that was, you'd have to do a lot of work to cram a garbage bag in there. But I mean, a recycling can, just like we have.
When there's a will, there's a way when somebody wants to get rid of garbage. And I can show you living proof up in Tilson where people are dumping, and it's a disgusting mess. I don't know what kind of a garbage can you're thinking to keep just public to put the garbage in, but nobody else. I'm lost. Even locked big dumpsters, people seem to get into them. So once again, and then to have the fallout be our highway department to be responsible for cleaning up, you know what? These guys are already, being a liaison for the highway department, they're already running thin, especially this year with all the pavement that we've got heaving in the roads, the poor shaped roads. These guys are gonna be working their butts off. I don't think they really need an extra task, especially this year. Since,
Well, you know,
And I don't
like I
wanna get
said
off
to you,
kilter
Rita,
here.
right now, I don't know whether we would be able, it wasn't budgeted, so, yes, Ken?
It just seems like we had this conversation before, since Willow Kiln Park was developed. It was developed for just a tranquil space adjacent to the town parking lot. And it is a very nice space, but at one point, there were garbage cans put down there, and we found that the issue was that people were in fact dumping their trash in it, and it became a mess. And there was nobody responsible to take it away, except for the highway department. So it was determined and decided, along with the rec commission, Rita, and you were a part of that, conversation, that Willow Kiln Park was going to be left as a garbage in, garbage out park. There will be no receptacles there, and it's worked. It's worked. And now all of a sudden, lately, I'm hearing that we should do that specific to Willow Kiln Park for economic development. That confuses me, because we've got a lot of other parks in the area, in our town, specifically Binneywater Road. It's now a staging area for the rail trail. Does that mean the town is going to have to put garbage receptacles and bathroom facilities there? I hope not.
I was
I
thinking the
hope not.
land trust would do
Right?
that.
If in fact economic development is the reason for Willow Kiln Park to have garbage and toilet facilities, then perhaps the Main Street Association could foot that bill. But I would object as a taxpayer to spend $600 for a season to take garbage out of Willow Kiln Park, when, for the past X amount of years, garbage in, garbage out policy has worked, and it's worked beautifully.
Ken, the 600 wasn't for
Whatever it may be.
garbage.
If
It
it's
was
a dollar,
for
it's
a
too much.
portalet,
The
which is
garbage in
a
policy, garbage
public
out policy works.
hygienic
That's all I have to say.
facility.
Please address the board.
so then maybe
I'm
the
sorry.
rec,
I think
I'm so used to talking
I
to
know,
you, it's
I
hard
know.
not to.
maybe the rec department should think about doing a fundraiser like everybody else has to do to get what their wants and needs squared away instead of trying to always get free money.
Well, I just think the thing is that you have to realize this is obviously something, if we're gonna look at the history of the park, it's a problem, it's been a problem in the past. And, you know, it's not just one issue, it's money, it's not one issue, it's not just money, it's not just manpower, it's not just what's happened in the past. So all those things would have to be considered. And like I said, I can't see it happening this summer because it's not been budgeted for this summer. So as far as I can see, the only thing we could do is look at it at budget time, see if it's something, and, you know, we'd have to weigh all those things, and the board would have to, you know, consider those pros and cons of those issues. But, you know, what are we gonna do, hire another person? You know, we keep hiring more people to take care of garbage, or, you know, that's where we have an issue too. We don't have a regular person that does that, and then it becomes another task that the town employees have to take care of.
Right, and you know, you can't just endlessly load on to a person's job duties, but I don't think it would take that many man-hours, honestly. I don't think it would be a whole position to pick up garbage once a week, I mean, frankly. But I hear what you're saying, and Bob, again, or Mr. Ryan, whatever you prefer, I call you.
Bob, I'm Bob.
Respectfully will get your number and call you if you're not at a meeting and there's something we really need to know about, and you can bring it to the board. And I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, and we really would like some of this stuff, but, you know, that's for you guys to figure out as the elected officials as to whether we can have it and when and how.
The other thing you gotta keep in mind, that it's not always just Main Street or Rosendale. We are responsible for the town of Rosendale, which encompasses Tilson, Bloomington, Creek Locks, I mean, all over. It's not just Main Street or Rosendale.
I know, I live in Tilson, I don't want your job. I
No.
know.
From my
Do you think it's easy for me watching my wife take the garbage out and bringing it back in from the window with a cup of coffee? It's stressful for me too.
I'm thinking about it more in the larger, bigger picture of, you know, we're changing now. We have a lot of people coming to town to use our recreational assets. That area is going to be used a lot more. It's, you know, connects to Joppenberg trails. It's going to connect to the rail trail. And, you know, we want it to be a friendly, supportive environment of people coming here and using our recreational assets. So, you know, from that perspective, I think it's, you know, something that, again, I think it's got to be thought of at budget time. We can't like budget for a porta potty right now, but at budget time, it's something that we should discuss.
And we got a solution for this season. Jen's house is very close to the rail trail. I think out of the decency of her heart, she should open her bathroom up as a public rest area for our.
You know, the other thing is we are investing in a public rest area, you know, and that's.
Where?
Now, I know it's a different area, but it is a
Yeah, it's
big
so far
investment
away.
that
I mean,
we've
it's
done.
good,
Yeah.
but it's so
Over
far away.
at the rec
that it
center.
doesn't
Yeah, I
help.
mean, this is in support of the trails. Now, the other thing that we have to realize is, it's been decided that Willow Kiln will be the free park.
Right.
Part of making it the free park means you're not getting any revenue from that park. And the way, as a supervisor, that's my job, to look at how do we bring in the revenue and how do we pay the bills, okay?
Right.
So when you have a situation where you're not bringing revenue in, I have to look at whether it makes sense to make it, to add more costs to running a certain area, whether it's a park or whether, you know, whatever it is that we do. And so then, you know, then we have to explore that, because I know you've been an advocate for that being a free space.
Yeah, I
And
certainly have, yes.
So once, you know, when you say we're not gonna charge for people to use the park, we expect people to pitch in, and that means take care of your own garbage, because we're not charging you to use that park. And I think that's where you have to look at what
Yeah.
services do you give in exchange for what you're getting back. So, you know, sometimes the community has to pitch in if you want it to be for free.
From my own personal point of view, even though it would be more costly, and this is now me speaking as me, who I used to be a Main Street resident, whatever, I've lived in various parts of Rosendale for the last 30 years. I think that the public good of having hygienic facilities there would be the one thing on this list that I think is most important. For our tourists and people who come into town, you're right, pack in, pack out. But they're gonna pee somewhere, and they're gonna hit the local businesses,
I
you
mean, the
know?
public goes on the rail trail, they're expected, you don't leave your garbage, there's not gonna be any
And they
receptacles
pee in
along
the
the trail.
woods, they pee in the woods. woods, which on Main Street is less appropriate.
You know, if someone's peeing in the park, we're gonna arrest them.
Yeah.
We're not gonna.
Well, right, but we're
Yeah,
talking
right,
about
speed on Main Street.
realistic concerns for
Right.
people having use and access in a public space. I just think it's a good idea to consider.
Yeah.
Well, we will look into it when we do the budget, that's all I can tell you at this point. Billy?
I think Steve was first.
Yes, Free.
Well, I just wanted to say that the parking lot, it's more the parking lot. That is the large municipal lot for town. So it's more than people just hiking up Joppenberg. It's people, so people use the bathrooms of the shops. And so the business owners take on the burden of that.
Which they should. It's a business district. And that's
Okay.
part of your owning, when you run a business, you're expected to, you know, that parking lot is to benefit those businesses, right? So that's expected, right? As a business owner,
So
somebody
we're
uses- somebody
expected,
uses
so
your
then
business.
it's really on the businesses to provide that kind of, I
when you're
mean.
talking about the parking lot as opposed to the park, okay?
Right.
It's a
And
different
it's,
issue.
and that, you know, it just, never mind.
If somebody's
Let's,
parking their car
let's,
because they're going to a business, you expect they're gonna stop at the restaurant and go to the bathroom, or go to the theater, they're gonna use the bathroom there. So, you know, that's a whole different discussion.
okay, okay. And the parking lot itself was a rental, so it was costing the town money every year. And living on Main Street, working on Main Street, when the garbage cans got taken away, it was the dog owners that really complained.
What?
The dog owners, because they are diligent and they clean up after their dogs.
No, they don't, Free.
Well-
No, they don't. I was just back there yesterday, and I was extremely mad because people were using the hole back there for a garbage pit. There was dog feces all over the place, so they're not diligent back there.
There's no garbage cans, that's what I'm saying. If there were garbage cans,
Bag
there
it,
would be
take
a
it back to
place.
your house.
You know, if people could do that, I mean, for me, it's horrible. The dog problem is really another whole issue.
We
You
go
know.
through season change in Main Street. Last month and the month before was the sidewalks to get them done for free of charge. And now we're into, now we're to free garbage
We pay
pickup.
taxes. It's part,
You know,
we pay
but free, there's other
taxes.
people in this town that don't have the luxuries of all of that. Me, myself, I have to pay for garbage every month to have garbage taken from my house.
So does every business in town.
I mean,
Everyone
Okay,
in
yeah,
town
so,
pays for
so
their
then we
trash.
should completely dissolve the fact of, I heard the highway department being mentioned about they be responsible for the park. Is that right?
Be responsible for
For
what?
cleaning up the garbage in the park.
Can I make a
Which
suggestion?
they are already,
Can I make
so.
a suggestion that, I do think that this is a discussion that we should have. I think that we should have it at a time when we can actually do something.
Well, you know what, Jen, I didn't want it
But-
to be tonight, but Rita wanted to come and talk tonight.
And so here it is.
Oh, I'm sorry, boy, did I screw it all up.
Yep,
I
that's
don't
what happens,
mean
you
that. I
don't follow the
just
chain
mean
of
that-
We
command.
don't have the answers tonight, I
Yeah.
Right,
understand.
but I mean, I think we've vetted, we've gotten it out there, and, again, I think we have to think of the bigger picture, like New Paltz, a busy town, they have public garbage cans around. and
You know, we have to think of the
we have to
bigger
think
picture,
about it.
Jen. It's not I and team. It's not always me, I, us, this, that. It's everybody as a team and a group. And every month I come here and it's all about Main Street sidewalks, dogs, this, that, bushes next to the sidewalk. Once again, you as a councilwoman and the rest of us, we are responsible for the town of Rosendale, not certain segments of the town. It's always the same stuff,
I
month to month.
I understand, but we are just
We-
asking for help. We don't know what else to do. We have a lot of problems on Main Street. We're trying to maintain
You know what?
the
Go up and see my
businesses.
mom. She's 83 years old, she lives alone, and she's got a driveway and everything to take care of. Maybe she could assist you in some of your problems.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that.
Well, you know what? It just gets a little irritating. You know
Why?
what?
Why? I don't
Why?
understand
Because
why.
I don't think people are putting a little bit of effort into helping themselves and always want somebody else to do things for them. That's what I think.
So the businesses, that's what you're
The
saying about the
businesses, what do you want to
businesses
talk
on
about the
Main?
businesses? You don't
Yeah.
want them to use your bathroom, but you want to sell your goods out of there. What else can we do for you?
You know, I'm saying the Red Brick closes when Zombie Fest comes to town because of the use of their bathrooms. It is one issue. We need a lot of help, especially now that more and more people are coming to Main Street. They are not necessarily going to the general store in Tilson. They are coming to Main
I
Street.
don't know, I drive Main Street a lot, and I don't see any real great changes.
Well,
And I drive
invite
it-
you to come more and visit more.
I can't come
to
more.
the theater, come to my shop, come to a restaurant.
All right, listen,
See
listen.
what's going on.
This is gonna end.
All right.
We'll talk about the rec commission should, you know, bring these up with Bob and we'll start
I get
addressing
that.
them one at a time
And then Bob will diligently bring it to you, and it will be addressed, I understand.
Diligently. I
Billy?
promise.
I believe you, I really do.
All
As
right,
far as
guys,
bathrooms
come
are
on.
concerned, the rail trails bring people to town to patronize the Main Street business. 7 of the Main Street businesses have bathrooms. And what's to stop someone from going in there, buying something in one of the places that has a bathroom? Can I use your bathroom? It's the people who don't want to buy something in the store. You can't tell me there's a single store on Main Street that if someone goes in and buys something, spends money in that store, oh, can I use your bathroom? No, you can't. I don't think that would happen. I've traveled across America and I've gone into all types of places, buy something insignificant, can I use your bathroom? And 90% of the time, yes, you can. If you don't go in and buy anything, they won't let you use the bathroom. So the idea is, people come to town to spend money, have them go into the stores, spend money, and use the bathrooms there. That works.
Well, all right, we're gonna end this segment.
Can you build an outhouse still nowadays?
All right, enough.
Composting toilets are called, and they have them all over the preserve, they're great.
Okay, we're not
Sorry.
gonna talk about this anymore. We're done.
Okay, thank you.
Huh?
You need a gavel.
Yeah. Where's my plastic jacket?
Hey, there you go.
No. Thank you.
Now, that was
All right.
easy.
Okay, we have two people here who are getting an interesting introduction to Rosendale. That are here to be introduced to the town board, and we got Kimberly Cole and Julie LeRoy. Just girls stand up. Kimberly, in blue, and Julie LeRoy, they're here to be our new bookkeeping and payroll
We
clerk.
don't know anything about that.
No.
Could you start at the age 12 and work up so we know a little bit?
For real?
No. I know you.
And their packets are in your, we had a long process of interviews. 7 people we started with 7, we narrowed it down to 2. And I'd like to make a motion to hire Kimberly Cole at $11 an hour, and with 6-month probation, moved up to $12 after six months.
So I just have a question.
Sure.
I think we talked about it, but I can't repeat. So we're having this is eventually to replace
Doris.
Doris.
Well, Doris is gonna go down to 1 or 2 days, starting in June.
Kimberly,
Okay.
you have beautiful handwriting.
Right, so we'll
Oh my
have
gosh.
2 for that position, 2 part-time.
Yes. Kimberly will work no more than 20 hours. And Julie will work no more than 28 hours. So can I get a second?
Second.
You're doing No, I did Kimberly first. Kimberly Cole, $11 per hour for 6-month probation, move to $12 for 20 hours. Chris seconded.
And now we're not starting salary.
She's starting at, it was advertised that month, so. And Julie is getting 12 because she's civil service, and that's the way it was, that's the way it was sent out to them. And a motion to hire, well, we need the vote yet.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes, and welcome.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to hire Julie LeRoy at $12 per hour for 6-month probation at no more than 28 hours per week
Am I supposed to?
for bookkeeping clerk.
I'll second.
Oh, I would have done that.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes, and welcome.
Supervisor Wolf.
Yes. Welcome, girls.
Thank you.
Drawing your swords.
Best of luck.
They get credit just for staying.
I live right on the rail trail too, by the way.
You also get a hazardous duty pay too. No, I'm just kidding.
Bring it on.
You both have beautiful handwriting.
Okay, girls, you're hired.
Thank you.
We have Joe Mihm here from Vernier and Larios to help us with our MS4 report.
You girls have to stay to the end of the meeting.
Can I go
No,
now?
you can't leave, you have to stay.
He's kidding, he's kidding.
I do have to go. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Good evening, Supervisor, Town Board, public. What I'd like to do is just give a brief presentation to you on the activities that went on over the last year relative to what's called MS4, which stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems. So the S4, the 4 S's there is what that stands for. So this is all about the stormwater programs that are going on that the town maintains throughout the year. There is an annual report that has to be prepared. You have a draft of that, hopefully in front of you. It looks something like this. It's 37 pages long. I met with Tom Fioria, your stormwater officer, and we prepared this draft report for your review ahead of the meeting. And I'll accept any comments after I give a brief review of what was done. In terms of the stormwater management program, there's 6 separate areas that the program breaks down into. They're called minimum control measures. The first one has to do with public education and outreach. And the main thing there is distribution of pamphlets and brochures to educate people on stormwater issues. And the brochures are maintained in the town clerk's office here, down at the building department, out at the community center. Over the last year, they increased the number of brochures that were handed out. Excuse me a second, I'll look up the actual number to give you some idea. 250 brochures were handed out last year in that area, so that's an increase from the previous year. The other area of public outreach is maintaining the stormwater website on the town webpage. There's a separate tab at the top for stormwater management, and that's updated regularly with new information, and also has the annual report available for people to look at. I did happen to go on there and look at it tonight, and I did notice that the stormwater reports out there, at least the one that popped up on my screen, popped up blank for some reason. So I'll get with Jill tomorrow, and we'll make sure that the one that has been completed and is current is available on that website. Last time I checked it did work right, but for some reason didn't.
Maybe she was in the middle of transferring this one into there?
Perhaps that's what it was. The second area is public involvement in stormwater, and from the stormwater officer standpoint, that's where he relies quite a bit on the Environmental Commission and the activities that the Environmental Commission does related to stormwater. In the past year, there was a Rondout Creek Water Quality Workshop held in July that had pretty good turnout, and then there was a follow-up meeting in January 15th, an intermunicipal workshop that also looked at the Rondout Valley water quality, and both of those were well attended. The third area is something that's called illicit discharge detection and elimination, and if the public employees, while they're out traveling throughout the town every day, they are looking around for any kind of illicit discharge, and they report that back to the stormwater officer. Also, the public can call in, and then the stormwater officer himself goes out and does dry weather inspections throughout the year. He did about half of the registered outfalls last year and documents the condition that they're in. So that work is ongoing. The fourth area has to do with any type of construction activities that are underway in the town. Whenever you're disturbing more than 1 acre of land, there are inspections, weekly inspections that are required. Those are done, that information is provided to the stormwater officer, and he tracks and records all that. The fifth area has to do with projects when they're done construction, if they have to build stormwater ponds or other stormwater management measures, the ongoing operation and maintenance of those. So routinely throughout the year, the stormwater officer, as part of his building inspection duties, is out at these sites and does look at them and check to make sure that any of the ponds that are out there are functioning. If there's cleaning that needs to be done, the owners are doing that type of thing. And then the final sixth area has to do with the municipal operations and taking care of housekeeping and any stormwater runoff related activity on any of the town operated pieces of land. The highway department does a lot of work in this area, and with the street sweeping and cleaning of parking lots, cleaning of catch basins, that work is all documented and tracked throughout the year. That's provided to Tom. And then also the various departments do their own self-assessments of their how they're performing related to stormwater activity. So those activities were all going on throughout the year, and we will continue them over the next year. There was an annual report filed last year in June, so all of that was in pretty good order. So that's basically what this annual report documents for you. It also outlines goals for next year, and I will briefly just touch on those quickly. In terms of public education and outreach, I'll be meeting with Tom. We're going to go through the list of brochures that he's using. Some of them are getting getting dated, so we'll get rid of those, and then there's new ones that are available. So we'll regularly refresh the brochures that are available throughout the year. The other key thing is to keep that website up and running throughout the year. In terms of public involvement, we're going to work with the Environmental Commission closely again over the next year, and then whenever there's public events, Tom is going to work to try to get some displays set up there where these brochures are available to the public. The other area there is making sure that local contractors know where they can go to get this stormwater management training. They have to be trained every 3 years in stormwater issues. We keep a regular list of where those classes are available. In terms of illicit discharge, I already mentioned we'll be doing more of the inspections throughout the year. The other thing we're going to do new this year is the town records Tom keeps track of all of his building inspections and those type of things in your software program called Municity. It's pretty easy for us to now add a category in there, which we're going to do specifically related to stormwater. So for example, when someone calls with an issue related to stormwater, he can not only keep track of it the way he has been, but he'll track it in Municity, so it's tagged to a particular parcel of land, and then that's going to really help us at the end of the year where we can download that automatically and save us effort in terms of this reporting. Construction stormwater sites will just be continued in the way that they've been done in the past. In terms of post-construction, or actually construction and post-construction, there is a new version of the New York State Stormwater Design Manual that's out, went into effect January 29th. So Tom will be informing folks that is out there and available, and they need to be in compliance with it. Your building department and the planning board knows that, and will be requiring that on stormwater plans that are submitted to them. And the other thing in terms of we're still building our list of completed sites because they get developed, ponds get put in place, and we're trying to get a complete list, and we should have one of those by the end of this year of all the post-construction stormwater sites that have to be maintained in the township. And then on the municipal operations, The main thing there, I think, is to work with each of the department heads in terms of their self-assessments. We'll also host a training over the next year. I'm working with Highway Superintendent right now to get that set up so that, and we'll invite the other departments to participate in that and provide a training to employees on what to look for in the area of stormwater. So that is my report. Questions?
I do have a question for Chris. Chris, do you know if the Environmental Commission, when they had the Street Fest, didn't they hand out brochures then too?
We did.
They
I'm not
did.
Is
sure.
that in there too?
That is in the report we got
Oh.
from Naja Kraus gave me a report. And yeah, the Street Fest was July 20th, and they did have a booth with brochures. She mentioned that she had spoken to about 20 people specifically on stormwater issues. Yes.
Does the training you do include green infrastructure, review of green infrastructure practices?
Yes, we will cover those things. One of the difficulties, I think, in terms of the municipal training, part of it is you're trying to make it interesting for that, with the work that the actual municipal employees do every day, keep them involved with it. They don't see all that much yet, but that'll be part of it to alert them, that's what's coming, and then the maintenance associated with those activities.
Are you talking about green infrastructure for the town or for the public?
Yeah, they're just practices, best practices for, natural stormwater management, like, the paved ditch has gone out of fashion.
Yeah, no, they
I know you guys use rocks, or, you use, you don't do that, but just curious. But I had a couple other questions on the tracking is a great thing, that you're doing the tracking of the stormwater, on the, what did you call it, municity?
Yes.
That's really helpful, I think. And when there are projects, there's development projects, they have to be inspected weekly?
Yes, they are, yeah.
And then.
When there's active construction, yes.
Right, and then a record, those weekly inspections are logged and.
That's correct. They have to, there's a written form they prepare, and there has to be photographic documentation with it. So that's, the developer actually does that, provides that to your stormwater officer.
Okay. I just had a question. We have, on the last page, says, has your MS4 coalition enacted a local law prohibiting pet waste on municipal properties and prohibiting goose feeding? And yes is checked. Did we, I don't recall
On town property?
that, but.
Let me go back to Tom and see if indeed there is one of those there, and I can get back to him.
Pet waste, I know. I'm not sure about the goose feeding. Billy?
Are they indexed by SBL numbers?
The post-construction stormwater management areas will be tied to an SPL number, yes. And actually, everything in Municity is tied to an SPL number, so it's all tagged back to a specific parcel of land.
When you refer to construction, do you mean, you were talking about development projects and I guess any road construction, but also like any excavating of any private property as well? Like even the smallest thing?
The trigger for this particular stormwater program and just stormwater in general, anytime you disturb more than 1 acre of land, so you think of a 200-foot by 200-foot area, it's roughly an acre of land. Anytime anyone's scraping that much ground up, they need to have stormwater erosion sediment control practices in place.
But there's also times when Tom will ask for that anyway.
Yes.
Because if there's any hill or anything like
Right,
that.
if you're doing like a 1/4 acre and it happens to be really problematic and it's right next to a sensitive drain issue or something?
He would still ask for that.
That would then come under the building permit, since Tom's wearing both hats, building permit and stormwater officer, he would be sensitive and aware of those things and ask for those required as part of his building permit.
you plan to greenfield the
Also on the last page, I see this question about, has MS4 Coalition developed and implemented a program of native plantings, and then specifically Environmental Commission distributes an invasive species handout. Right now it's a no, but in order to, what would constitute a program if our Environmental Commission was to essentially piggyback on Cornell Cooperative's annual native plant sale? Is that an opportunity to?
It's definitely an
Would that
opportunity,
satisfy
and
this
then
goal?
to incorporate as part of your plan, it would get adopted as part of your stormwater, the town's stormwater management plan.
So advertising, it wouldn't be the town having to adopt a policy of what we're planting along right-of-ways, but if the Environmental Commission is sharing this information to the
No,
public.
what you're saying is about education.
Yeah.
What Joe's talking about is the actual plan that the town has for MS4, right?
Correct, that's what I'm talking about.
So if it's not in the plan, you could still do it, but it hasn't been part of the plan to say.
We can adopt it into
You
the
can adopt
plan.
it into the plan, but then they'd be required to do
Mhm.
it every year, you know? Right now, it could be done as an addition.
I'm not
but it's
volunteering them to do this, but I thought
Yeah.
Right.
if this is an easily accomplished goal, it's something I'll take back to them to consider as their liaison.
Yes, Chris?
What, if any, provision is there for a stormwater plan related to construction? What provision is there for public comment on that plan?
Whenever a person is developing a piece of land, they come before the planning board. As part of the planning board, they have to present their stormwater pollution prevention plan. It's called a SWIP, it's a common term. And you can comment, the public can comment as part of the planning board review process. The planning board has members look at that very thoroughly, and then I know they have an engineer also who specifically goes through that and certifies that it's complying with all of the design manual requirements.
Okay, thank you.
That's an enforcement issue. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's it.
Okay, so you'll give me a call just to go through the steps for the.
Correct.
when you
What we'll
want
do
to-
now is I will go through I had a couple of questions that we picked up tonight. I had a couple other comments that came in before. We will edit the draft, and then we're gonna post that draft on the website for 30 days for additional public comment. And then at your next your May
Second town.
town board meeting, second May town board meeting, you then can adopt it as the final, and then we will issue it, and then I'll send it on to the DEC.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Here's my report.
Thanks. Okay, well, I'll give you guys a copy of this. This is Tom's,
Basically what I
what you
recited.
just said, basically, yeah. So I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of that. We are in the middle of a meeting, guys. Okay. So Mary Lou, we're gonna ask your help through this.
Yeah. I think we're finally there
Finally
after
there.
all these many months. On the
Just kidding.
over-
I know. Remember that one.
And the first thing you always have to do before voting on a new local law like this is the seeker. We've had this environmental, part one for ages and months and months and months, but now it's time to look at parts 2 and 3 to determine whether or not the passage of this law would have a significant effect on the environment. And I just want to remind you that what we're looking at seeker for now is the passage of a law. We're not looking at any
Right.
individual projects.
Right,
Every project
we'll go through.
is going to have its own site-specific seeker review. So sometimes when we're looking through part 2, you go, oh, well, I can test that this might happen if we redo Mullery Hall, But that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at effectively on the environment of passage of this law. All right? So I think you all have part
Yeah,
2?
parts 1, 2, and 3 here.
Okay. We're just gonna go right through this document, okay?
All right.
All right.
Are we on 2 or
Are we
1?
gonna skip to page?
On 2, page 1
Part 2.
Part 2.
of part 2.
Right.
Right, because
Part 1 is done.
part 1
What
was
page
done.
is part 2,
It's its own.
Its
own document.
There are
Oh.
3 separate
all right.
parts, and they each are stapled separately. All right, so first is impact on land. Proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site.
No.
Passing the law is not going to have any construction involved. All right, so we don't even have to go
You
over
have to
these
do all the stuff.
subsections. Impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site, such as cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, caves.
No.
If anybody thinks that passing law is gonna change the Rosendale dunes, speak now. Impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies such as streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes.
No.
You know, I obviously, all of these things will be no, but we have to go through the process. Impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
No.
Impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding. Impact on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. Impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in the loss of flora or fauna. Impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. Impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource.
No.
It's going to improve.
Not the passing of the law.
Right,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
but eventually,
That's
some
the
of
point of
these,
this law.
right. Impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. Are you an archaeological resource? He says, you're welcome.
I told her not to call us
Watch
old.
out.
Impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. No. Impacts on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area. Impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems now. I guess I should let you answer that. I'm just
No.
going ahead and answering now.
No.
Yeah, Jen, you should, you know, we're on question 14.
I know.
You've
I
had
wonder
all
if-
this opportunity.
It becomes less funny over time.
Impact on
They're
energy.
different answers.
The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy.
No.
15, impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting.
No.
Impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
Yeah.
Consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land uses.
No.
No, I'm finding in here that it's
we worked on
consistent
that.
with the comprehensive plan.
It's a double negative.
Right, yeah, yeah, the proposed is not, I know. Everything your fourth grade English teacher
Right.
taught you about double negatives is in there. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character.
No.
All right, so that's it for part 2. Then we go on to part 3, which is really where you determine whether this will have a significant impact on the environment. Generally, when you have all no's, the answer is it's not going to have a significant impact. So it would be appropriate for someone to make a motion. Oh, it's a type 1 action, by the way.
Yeah, so it's just one. Okay.
Yeah, it's type 1. to, and we did 1, 2, and 3, because we're doing 3 now.
I'd like to make a motion that,
James, you can do it if you turn the page,
I was gonna say, is there
that we check box A that says this project will result in no significant, you can read that box, and
Okay.
that's what the motion
I'd
would
like
be.
to make a motion that this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this negative declaration is issued.
Second that.
You can check A then, right?
Yep.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes, I'd like to thank the board and the supervisor.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes, and so we checked type 1 on the front and
Yes.
part 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yep, and there's some filing that will have to be done with this if you want to have Jill or Mandy, even just, you can scan it and send it to me, I'll file it.
Okay. Well, now
Not you,
this,
huh?
this is to DEC or to?
Yeah, we'll go in environmental notice bulletin for DEC. All right, next, and I actually don't have it in front of me, but I think you
Oh, I
all.
thought she just gave you a whole packet this evening. All the
I
stuff.
just got the seeker stuff. Oh,
Oh.
and I have local law.
The override.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's attached to the back. All right. After a very lengthy process involving, the public hearings, referrals to the town and the county planning boards. I might be taking this back, it's not on here. I don't have the, one of you guys can read it, that's fine, or I can if you'd like. Anyway, during this process, the county planning board gave some required modifications, some of which you have put into the revised local law, and some of which you've indicated that you'd like to override, that you don't want to put all those things in. When you're going to override the recommendations, you need a supermajority, so you'll need at least 4 of you to vote to override, and then we have to send a report to the county planning board saying, we've overridden, and here's why. So, here's the proposed resolution, okay?
Mary Lou, do you
Yes.
want to just review what, or can you quickly just review what we're overriding? I know
That's what the
show us in
resolution
there.
I'm
has.
gonna say that she reads it.
Whereas the town board is considering passage of amendments to the town zoning law to add a new section 75-28.2 entitled Economic Enterprise Overlay Zone. And whereas as part of the process for the consideration of such law, the proposed law was referred to the Ulster County Planning Board for recommendation, and whereas the Ulster County Planning Board has issued required modifications to the law, and whereas the town board wishes to override some of the required modifications of the Ulster County Planning Board, now therefore be it resolved that the Ulster County Planning Board recommendations are overridden as follows. And this is from Ulster County Planning Board referral number 2014-152. First is allowed uses overridden. The board has amended the local law to include only church and school buildings in the area outside of the Route 32 corridor and overrides the county recommendation as the board finds that school and church buildings may be in areas where the underlying zoning would not allow for the reutilization of these types of buildings, and reutilization is necessary to make use of these buildings. And the second thing overriding is pedestrian access, overridden. The board feels that the need for pedestrian access should be determined on a case-by-case basis as applications are received. While there will be areas where pedestrian access is beneficial, the board does not wish to require pedestrian access in all cases, as there will be instances where pedestrian access is not needed. And then, next thing we added is, though not a required modification, the town board has utilized the Marlborough Business Corridor Overlay District suggested by the Ulster County Planning Board in amending its original proposal.
So I think,
Yes.
actually, what that didn't say, unless I was reading and not listening, is one of the things we accepted from Ulster County Planning Board was the conceptual plan.
We don't have to put anything.
We don't have to put that because we have it in there.
Accepting.
Yeah.
Right, there were 2 things that
It's
they
just noting for the
recommended that we
public.
put into
Oh, okay.
our.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we did
Yes.
accept the conceptual plan, which they asked us to do,
And there-
and
And the other was the limitation.
Yeah, targeting the
Targeting on
content
that.
for the
Route
site.
32.
Right.
So
but
it's
we
either
overruled the
Route
second part.
32, churches, or schools.
Right, right. Originally, it was that it would be everywhere.
So those are the two that we accepted.
Right, so,
And you
yes.
read what we're overriding.
Yes. So somebody make the motion if you'd like.
I'll make the motion.
So we're gonna vote on it.
Somebody needs to second it.
I'll second it. I think this is a big accomplishment for this board and this supervisor.
No, we didn't do the next one yet. This is just, it
Long
was long.
I know, but
Many, many hours
Roll
went into
vote,
this.
Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Okay, so I just, if I could just state that, I'm in, obviously in strong support of the code, but I'm uncomfortable with the pedestrian access.
Because there's, let's just talk about it.
Okay.
Would you want a pedestrian access where John McColgan's property is? Do you think you need a sidewalk there?
I was just thinking about that. Depends what it is.
So
And-
there you
right,
go.
that's-
At the time, we will make that decision. If you put it in there, we would have to always have a sidewalk.
Yeah, they were asking that we require pedestrian access.
If you
on
wanted
all
to,
of these
would you want a
projects.
sidewalk at the Tilson School along the road? It's not a necessary place to put a sidewalk along the road. And some of the other places that might have, you know,
Doesn't tie into existing
If it doesn't
sidewalks.
tie in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and there are places that you're gonna say, we absolutely want a sidewalk.
Yeah, if it's in the
And
center
we're
of
really
town.
clear in the 32 guidelines about pedestrian access too, so I think that's good to accept. Okay.
Okay, so yes
I
then?
don't have a yes, which.
I was gonna say, don't push that button, Jen.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
Councilman Slotski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. Now, one thing, what resolution was that?
One.
Huh? One? Oh,
So April 1st.
You thought by 8:15 you'd be at least on resolution number 2, right?
yeah. Okay, so now we have a resolution for the law. And I can read that.
You can, yeah, go ahead.
For 2015-2. Resolution adopting local law 1 of 2015. Whereas in 2014, the town board proposed an amendment to chapter 75 of the town code zoning to provide for a new section 75-28.2, providing for an economic enterprise overlay zone. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on October 1st, 2014 and October 8th, 2014, with the public hearing being held open for written comments until October 31st, 2014. And whereas the proposed local law was forwarded to the Ulster County Planning Board and the Town of Rosendale Planning Board for recommendations. And whereas all required adjoining municipalities, agencies were given prior notice of the proposed law. And whereas the town board by resolution dated April 1st, 2015, has overridden some but not all the Ulster County Planning Board recommendations. And whereas in response to recommendation and comments made by the Ulster County Planning Board, the Town of Rosendale Planning Board, and both verbal and written comments received during public hearings, the town board has revised the zoning amendment. And whereas the town board of the Town of Rosendale determined that the passage of the zoning amendment will have no significant adverse effect on the environment pursuant to seeker, by motion dated April 1st, 2015, and whereas the zoning amendment is in conformity with the town's comprehensive plan, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the Town of Rosendale hereby adopts the attached zoning amendment known as local law number 1 of 2015, amending chapter 75 of the code of the Town of Rosendale to add a new section 28.2, economic enterprise overlay zone. Be it further resolved that the town board of the Town of Rosendale directs the town clerk to file this law with the New York State Secretary of State.
I'm going to second, and I want to just say that, you know, we worked, a lot of changes were made to this overlay, and, you know, we worked very hard on it, and I think it's a really good piece of code. Yeah, and I just want to make sure we had our 8 days. Right?
Yes, yes. There were typos corrected, no significant changes were made. So
Okay.
typos you're allowed to correct.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Slotski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wolf.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's the chicken law.
Yes.
That's right.
So
I'll start
next
looking at
month?
chicken. Yeah, maybe, maybe.
Right.
I'm going to go. Thank you for
Thank
giving
you.
me all the work over the last month and several months on this. Thank God for chickens, so I can continue to pay tuition to all those colleges.
Just remember to punch out.
Don't worry. Mandy, if you need any help with filing with Secretary of State, or we also have to make sure that we get that report into the Ulster County Planning Board. If you have any questions, ask Jean.
Mary Lou, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We never did get the contract, Mandy, right?
No, he's coming Monday just to drop it off, just it's so simple.
All right, so, this will be done next week. We have a resolution. Actually, I'm gonna skip down to Bob, because he's probably waiting a week, right?
No, keep him here all night.
Yeah, really? No, put him at the end.
It's like the good old days, Bob, just hang out.
You're not going.
Make him stay.
It is April Fool's.
Actually, let me just briefly say the next three things. Spring Week, National Volunteer Week are here, so that we can do that next week. And then we have the resolution to appoint the alternate. We finally got Ted's in, so we can do that either after Bob talks, or we can do it next meeting, whichever you guys want to do. Thanks, Mary Lou.
Yes, thank you again.
And so, Bob, come on up.
All right. Basically,
Could you come up here? Could you come up by the podium and speak into the mic?
so basically, as I gave my capital plans for the year, the water tank was one of the replacements for our trucks. In your packet, you'll see 2 proposals. 3 didn't come out. I basically contacted 8 companies, and that's all I got. Everything else was further out. And as you can see, the difference between the one that I recommended and the other one, the prices were just gonna go up from there. So, unfortunately, this was looked into a couple of years ago, and the price was about $2,000 cheaper, and so unfortunately we're not. So, anyway, that's one of them. That's gonna help out with our stormwater cleaning. We're doing cleaning of the streets now. If you, just to give you an idea how this process works, if you split it up into your election districts, District 3 is done. So we've recouped almost 300 tons of sand just out of District 3.
Is that so?
That's on the postage and lumberyard side of things. So,
I've noticed, thank you.
yep.
Looks wonderful.
I was gonna dump it in your driveway, but I said,
I could use a little bit.
so now we're working
Where
on,
do you store it all?
right down, we actually, I have a good working relationship with Jim Mihm. He has a screening plant, so all the shoulder cuts that we do kind of have that one hand washes the other, and he lends us his screening plant, and it's down at the salt shed, so it gets screened, salt gets added, thrown right in the salt shed for next year. So we recoup. Last year we recouped about almost $4,000 worth of sand. So it's a good program. But anyway, our old tank is leaking bad, especially with these cold mornings. We made a mess up on Longyear Road. Complaints about the amount of dust we were creating. So we ended up pulling the water truck out of 6 inches of ice to get it filled. And unfortunately, when we filled it, we created an ice mess on 32 because it leaked so bad. So that's one of the reasons why we need it.
You tried duct tape, right?
We've tried duct tape, we've tried fiberglass, we've tried everything. So anyway, after this process is done, we're going to be putting on 9 pieces of equipment on Auctions International, of which 3 of those pieces will go to the general fund, and the other will go to the highway fund. And the truck that we currently have our tank on, we're looking, hopefully, if we get for that truck, we'll actually pay for this piece of equipment. So that's pretty much it.
We've had that water tank for quite a while, haven't we, Bob?
Got that from Dougie Tyler years ago. Yeah.
So it doesn't owe us a thing, it's been in service.
Nope.
And the poly tank should last us a good long while.
And really, to replace this poly tank, it's an elliptical tank. You can actually pick it up locally. And actually, if we had to replace that for any reason whatsoever, I mean, you're only talking, a 1,000-gallon tank is only about $1,200.
Well, media liaison for the highway department, it's obviously a needed and highly used item. And, you know, Bob and the guys have saved us money in other areas, and if we don't replace it, then the next piece of equipment's gonna go, and we're gonna make a snowball effect like we have in the past. So I think we should go ahead and give him the okay to go ahead and get this tank.
Well, this piece of equipment also has it's also gonna be set up for the possibility of using a brine application. And especially in our developments, it's just a lot of work in the developments. So, you know, we'll stop over by Rita's house and dump it down her driveway.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to be out there shoveling at 2 o'clock in the morning when I pass her.
No, you can keep the brine.
I'd like to thank you and all you guys for all the hard work you've done this past winter. I know it's been a long one, and it doesn't look like it is yet to end. But thank you very much, and I know that the road ahead this spring with all the roads and the conditions that they're in, from the plows and that and the salt, you're gonna have more work ahead. So, but I want to say thank you
Actually,
personally.
to be honest with you, actually all the work that we did last year, those roads held up pretty good.
Yeah,
The
they
roads that
did.
we didn't do anything was rather a mess.
The
Well,
county roads are
thank you.
the
And
disaster
state-
area.
Yes.
213 too.
Be careful coming out of the parking lot. There's a bulge there.
Huh?
Take your oil pan out.
Calibro's coming up bad too.
Uh-oh.
Oh, how's
Sorry,
that?
Calibro. I only noticed because I took it today on the way here.
Is it on
Which
the
side of it?
intersection? Is it
It's on the Ligon side.
That's a county road.
That's
Yeah.
County Road.
Yeah.
Well, it's that road.
Yeah, right at the intersection, it's terrible.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
feel for you.
I don't ever go that way. I just went there today on my way up here tonight.
So that's the happens, with them.
Okay, so we're going to do this resolution for 2015-3. Resolution of purchase a new water tank spring system, whereas the town of Rosendale Highway Department has need to replace a water tank, and whereas the town of Rosendale Highway Department has looked into a tank pump combination for dust control and the possibility of future brine application. And whereas the purchase of this tank pump setup will eliminate the need for the current truck that can be sold to remove another piece of equipment from insurance and use the revenue to offset the cost of said unit. And whereas the town highway superintendent, Robert Gallagher, has researched such equipment and makes a recommendation to purchase a 1,000-gallon poly tank and pump combination from CTM Bulk Handlers, Inc., P.O. Box 233, Allendale, New Jersey, 07401, attached here to and made a part hereof. Thereof. Now therefore be resolved that this equipment has a cost of $5,700, including delivery, which the highway department has the money in the DA 5130.2 to pay for the tank sprayer combination unit. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale hereby authorizes the purchase of said equipment from the aforementioned vendor.
I'd like to second that. Thank you again to Bob and the highway department for all they did. Have we always recovered sand in previous years and stuff?
It has, but there's never been a practice prior to actually reclaim the sand and get it back in use for future use. And that's the only way we're gonna save money. I mean, right now, we're down out of my budget, my winter budget, we're actually down, I believe, something like 56%. You know, and technically, it's only a quarter of the year's gone, so obviously it was a rough winter.
Right.
So,
And this is gonna be stored in the enclosure down there or kept
it's
outside?
kept outside until we screen it, and then once it gets screened, it gets mixed in with salt and then put back into the
Do
shed.
you have any idea how much that's gonna give us for the upcoming year?
We should have a full salt shed by the time we're done.
Wow, really?
That's great, that's a beautiful.
That's
thing.
fantastic, especially because salt went up 22% prior.
27%.
27% prior to it. So that's gonna be a big savings. Wow. Thank you again.
And we're already at our quota for, we have to use 70% of our requested amount of salt, and I'm over that already, so we're not obligated to buy any more until after September 1st.
Well, thank you very much.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Brzezowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I think it's 3.
So can we start spending?
And then, we are going to do, as you guys remember, I reached out to you about the vision plan. So we have to do the resolution for that. Resolution for 2015-4. Adopt a vision plan and carry it for town of Rosendale employees, whereas the town of Rosendale offers health insurance for all full-time employees, and whereas the town of Rosendale is committed to the health and welfare of our employees, whereas the town current health insurance carry MVP does not cover vision in our medical plans, and whereas the town has found a company that offers a standalone vision product to supplement the difference in insurance coverages for the employees. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale has approved Data's Vision as a vision carrier for the town of Rosendale. Be it further resolved, the town board of the town of Rosendale authorized supervisor to sign said agreement on behalf of the town of Rosendale.
I'm sorry, I can't read that. I'll second that.
Boy, you're a meeting. Who seconded?
That's
Good.
Roll vote, Councilman Hughes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Prislavsky,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
yes. Okay, we have to go into executive session.
I forgot one announcement.
Okay.
Right there. Tomorrow, there is a streetlight efficiency workshop at the Ulster County, it's in the Ulster County Legislative Chambers from 4 to 6. And it's for municipalities, but also for the public, anyone who's interested in public street lighting efficiency. It is being organized by the County Climate Smart Community Committee, and something in Rosendale that we're very interested in doing. I'm on the panel among other people, and it should be an interesting workshop, so.
Where's that address?
It's in the office, the county office building on
Oh,
Fair
yeah.
Street on the 6th floor.
244 Fair Street, from 4 till 6.
Hey, guys.
Good night now.
So then
Happy Easter.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session.
Oh, Jeannie, can I say one thing?
Sure.
Really nice work on the economic overlay. I mean, I
Thank
came to one of those public hearings and there were things in it that really scared me. They're all gone. Thank you.
Great. No,
Discuss the
no,
employment of a
hold
particular person, and also like to go into executive session to discuss the negotiations for, what's that?
Well, contract negotiation.
Contract negotiations, thank you, for
April Fool's, no.
Go ahead, Bill, approach the bench.
Huh? Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Well, John didn't get my April.
Not before the vote.
I thought it was.
Go into executive
Somebody
session.
second that?
It was,
I'll second.
it was
Thank you.
too possible.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Any opposed?
Aye. Go ahead.